Welcome everyone to another episode of Around the Block Talk. Today we have with us Supriya, and she has been working in the industry for quite some while now, and she has written blockchain for various firms and around the stuff. And she's been a writer and author at this year. So yes, we are very excited to listen to you today.
First of all, thanks a lot to you, Prateek and Arpit, for approaching me for this session. I would love to talk today on regulated DeFi. So without wasting any further time, let's just share my screen. Yeah. So today we'll be going to discuss about regulated DeFi, regulated decentralized finance. What did the past hold? Where did it come from? What is the present scenario? What does the future hold? Right? Chalo, let's go ahead then. Okay. So now when I talk about decentralized finance, it basically means carrying out financial operations like banking, lending, borrowing, and several other operations without the presence of a central authority. Now, what happens in the case with traditional finance institutions is that they are not decentralized. They actually have several governing authorities which are governing their operations and dictating what should happen and what should not happen. But when it comes to DeFi, we don't have such an authority. We have peer-to-peer lending. If I explain it with a simple example, it is more like I am in need of dire money and I go to my friend and I say, okay, please lend me $1,000 or $2,000, and they lend me without an interest, obviously, because there's a trust factor involved. But I cannot go and do that with the same thing with the bank. The bank will say, okay, why should I trust you even if you have this N amount of track record? They'll ask me to submit some documents and then take their own sweet time to verify my profile. And then there is no chance that I'll get a loan or not. I have nothing against banks or traditional financial institutions, but yes, there are pros and cons to both. Similarly, when it comes to cryptocurrencies, there is a thing called smart contracts. Now, what do I exactly mean by smart contracts? Just like a traditional financial segment, you have a form of security. You make it a point to know your customer well and actually analyze that if they can actually pay it or not. Some or less the same function a smart contract provides. Yes, it will not go deep into scrutinization of your transaction history and stuff, but if you can pledge your cryptocurrency for a certain amount, you can always get a loan, right? Now, why am I talking about it suddenly? So like, if I say the DeFi market was non-existent few years back, if I say like 10 years back, it was not existent. Maybe it was existent, but yeah, it was in a very scattered form. Now the question arises that since so many lawmakers are working on it, is it worth it or is it not worth it? We'll just discuss that. Now coming to the case with cryptocurrencies, why are they so much in limelight and why do they garner so much shame, I would say, and people don't trust it? Because there have been many hacks, many scams, and cyber criminals obviously love cryptocurrency. So there have been a lot of cases where people have lost funds. If I go back to the most popular ones, when I started writing in crypto, that was the Quadriga CX scam. While it is not related to DeFi, a lot of money was lost in that. Similarly, when I consider the case of 2020, if I say about the reports, close to $7.7 billion were lost because what people did, they purchased so much of cryptocurrency that the demand spiked and suddenly they all dumped the assets, which was clearly not a very good value proposition for people who are at the receiving end. And obviously, be it the traditional sector or the crypto sector, no one wants to be on the losing end. Everyone wants to make good profits, and that to in minimum time and without any losses. And obviously, I don't want to involve a third party with that. So now all these things happen, but people still continue to trust DeFi and cryptocurrency. So what could be the reason behind it? Well, first thing is clearly that there are no lengthy procedures involved with that, that I don't need to wait for months to get a loan or any other such carrying out such big transactions. Plus there is transparency. We know that how many cases happen in the case of lending, borrowing, and even property transfers and other things in the traditional segment. that and people end up spending years and years. But same is not the case with blockchain, because each and every transaction copy is available on the blockchain. You cannot tamper with it, and there is no way I can go back, I can mess up with the documents and provide a fresh new document and then again wait for an authority so that they will verify my claims or my opponent's claims. No, nothing like that. If it is on the blockchain, it is actually written in stone, and that is the ultimate truth. Now, just as compared to new things, can we go back, please? Yeah. Similar to we start anything, be it crypto, be it anything in our life, things in early stages do have a chance of messing up, right? We don't have a clear-cut strategy there, and even if we have a clear-cut strategy there, we're not able to implement it with exact and ample clarity. So similar is the case with DeFi sector. It is still in its very nascent stages and surely has some kind of risk. Yes, there have been exploitations, but still it is developing. Now, the shocking part which comes from countries like China and Russia is that they have totally banned the use of DeFi and private digital assets. And Russia is still pondering over it, that whether they should regulate it, whether they should go forward with it. And okay, maybe one day they'll come to a conclusion, and I believe that they will come soon also. Yeah, we'll proceed further. Now, this is what was my perspective, and what do the experts and what do the reports have to suggest? So, like, these reports are made with after ample research of months and maybe years also, and some are supported by strong regulatory authorities, and then they have their own perspectives. Financial experts pull in people who are into crypto, then there are crypto critics also. They come together and justify this reports. Now, when it comes to mainstream adoption, that still looks like a very distant dream, because people are actually, whatever they say, see, this is a from a human psychology point of view, I would say people are hardwired for security. If I don't see anything secure, I would not probably want to jump in that. Same is the case with DeFi. More and more people are interested in stable coins and not volatile currencies like cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, because they are not secure and not backed by assets. But yes, people would love to invest in Tether, right? Now, when it comes to the mainstream financial system, DeFi is a great risk to that. First of all, it is not systematic. Yes, it surely has its benefits, but when it comes to bank and insurance companies, they are not willing to pledge their assets to such a system or an entity that is not providing them the basic security. Whatever it is prone to hacks, and again, time and again, I would say even the traditional financial system has its own loopholes, but yes, we have years of backing and people have actually been implementing that. But still, one of the shocking facts that come here is that close to millions of people are not banked yet, and DeFi can be a great opportunity for them to get loans and to actually improve their financial status if it is implemented in the right way. Now, another school of thought that arises is that when it comes to DeFi, people say that it is okay, more or less similar to traditional systems. You have just misplaced some facts here and there, but there is no difference. And the way they get to criticize this whole thing is that everything is same, but there is no regulation. There are greater risks. Now, crypto experts are working to counter these kind of statements, but yes, it is surely taking time, and regulation can surely help it. But yes, the government surely needs to adopt a more softer outlook towards the same. Yeah, we'll move ahead. Now, when it comes to deterritorialization, is it a way forward or not? Now, what happens is that I told you in the first, when we were just started out our discussion, is that we can actually conduct peer-to-peer transactions, and for the trust factor, we always have smart contracts. Now, what happens is that this is a model which can be understood by some people, and for mass adoption, we actually need to build in more awareness for DeFi. Maybe it can be in the form of webinars. You can say when we can tie up with government institutions. Crypto experts are also doing that. But yes, the change is slow, but yes, it is making a huge impact. Now, some experts also say that DeFi protocols are totally not understood and they're out of regulatory reach. But when it comes to transparency, DeFi protocols and other such mechanisms, they do show very high numbers on transparency because you can actually track all your transactions A to Z. Yes, I understand blockchains can go slow. There can be multiple issues, but yes, similar is the case with traditional financial systems. You always see servers going down and people complaining. That this is one issue which can easily be sorted in the technology blockchain and crypto are based on. This is not a very far-fetched thing to achieve. Now, when it comes to, if I say what is the actual problem when it comes to regulating this, so I would say that okay, cyber criminals are a big menace, no doubt. Hackers are one, but if developers and experts can actually stick together, a regulation can be enforced in DeFi. Let's move ahead. Yeah. Okay. Now, when it comes to, this was all about what was happening before and what is the current scenario. Now, what are actually the current issues that are being faced by anyone who's planning to take a plunge in the DeFi sector because they want to diversify their portfolio, and other people who are actually in limbo whether to completely move to DeFi, stay in the traditional finance sector, make a balance. So what happens is that, okay, some people think that DeFi is a very big misnomer. Now, what do I mean by misnomer? What will they do? That they'll decentralize some aspects of the platform and the other aspects will be totally centralized. Now, people are not in agreement with that. They don't want to be in the middle of the spectrum. They want to go either A or to B. The second issue that arises with the compliance issues, that there are no strict anti-money laundering policies in place, and that leads to a big chaos. And yes, as I've time and again reiterated, adoption is still far-fetched. We have seen cryptocurrency regulations in India and other countries as well. So if we actually want to see a mass-scale adoption, it might take 5 years, decade, or maybe 15 years to actually make transactions work in the favor of both parties, right? It will need to be a collaboration, and it is something that needs to be understood is that we cannot work in competition. It needs to be a collaboration. And this is something which even the government authorities, crypto experts, or the normal crypto investor trader is not willing to understand at the current scenario. Yes, there is some sort of understanding, some sort of maturity, but yet it is yet to be realized in the current scenario at the actual level that is needed. Yeah, we'll proceed further. Okay, now coming to the favorite part, numbers. What do numbers suggest? See, when it comes to DeFi, if I see the value, close to 700 million was locked in December 2019, and the number has gone up to 200 billion. The last, if I'm not wrong, I read a report for April 20th or 22nd. 273 billion were locked by April 22nd, right? And that is equal to Greece's 2017 GDP. If you can imagine the massive amount of money that is locked, one thing which I can surely say is that if it is regulated, the number can maybe even shoot up to trillions, or maybe a number greater than that also. But yes, efforts are needed to regulate that. Yeah, let's move ahead. Okay. Now that I gave some negative opinions about authorities, what the government's stature is, and what is the actual scenario happen. There are actually players out there in the crypto and blockchain segment that are putting their blood and sweat and soul to make DeFi at par with all the traditional financial services and maybe even 1000x better than that. One such player is Aave. It is a very popular blockchain and cryptocurrency firm. It has liquidity pools where people can actually stake in their assets and benefit a lot. It also provides limited DeFi access to institutions and enterprises. It doesn't provide access to small businesses, but maybe tech giants only. Now, what benefit does this firm provide is that it helps people verify, get their KYCs done. Now, what happens is that they help big organizations mitigate risks and then leverage on the power of cryptos to make huge profits. And the firm again makes good profits on their transaction fees and other charges involved, even if they're very minuscule, because they have a huge audience, close to millions. So you can just do the maths and figure out how can these firms manage to mint so much money, even if they have a very minimal fees. Again, coming to my favorite smart contracts, they let you deposit funds and actually provide fully compliant assets to people, to lenders and borrowers, and they don't have to fill in lengthy forms and do that KYC each time. Just, I would love to ask a question here. What happens when you need to fill a very lengthy Google form on a site, or simply fill in your details? Don't you all feel irritated? What if we could automate this process, not only for financial purposes, for others also? If it can be done, then do give it a thought about DeFi and other crypto mechanisms, and maybe there's a chance that we will have a change in our outlook. Now, again, there's a decentralized autonomous organization that have been made by people, peers, and then the biggest step that this organization took was it closed down entities that were solely reliant on this method. Now you will ask me, what's the problem? It was made by peers. It could have worked democratically, but no, sorry, that was not the case. These groups were actually using the power of these groups in the wrong manner, and actually using them to manipulate prices, and which was obviously not done, because the purpose of DeFi is to reach the masses and provide equal opportunities, and not just to get momentary profits. And again, when the same problem it comes with the traditional finance sector, the finances are saturated in the hands of a few people. That was not the case cryptos were made for. They were made for that people can actually leverage financial benefits and diversify their portfolios, and again then achieve their financial dreams. To make a DAO step was again a huge blow to the people who don't place their trust in cryptocurrencies and are against DeFi. So yes, these were some key blockchain players that will actually shine out, and they're still continuing. They still continue to make a big mark. But yes, they'll surely be added as the first movers when maybe a decade later or 5 years later, their name will surely be remembered. Yeah, let's go ahead. Now, if I talk about what does the future hold. Now, see, as people warm up to the idea of cryptocurrency, there's surely a thing that people will warm up to the whole idea, and yes, regulators will also work for it because people show a great interest. But now what is needed is that customers need to be reassured that their money is as safe as it is in the bank. Yes, banks are also prone to robberies. There can be any mishap with the bank also, but yes, again, it has that advantage. I would rather trust my best friend of 15 years rather than an expert, even if my best friend lies to me, right? I would not trust the person who came in my life 2 years back. I will trust my best friend even if the person is a complete crack. Now, what happens is that if regulators can manage these things and experts can also pull in, things can be sorted. Again, when it comes to transparency, DeFi has a greater potential, and obviously it provides more liquidity than it compared to the traditional financial segment. It can reduce frauds, fragmentation, and even create new market opportunities that were previously unimaginable. The best thing is that even the unbanked population can benefit a lot from it, build peer-to-peer connections, even explore the different aspects of blockchain DeFi, and take decisions accordingly and not be fixated to a few financial instruments. Again, when it comes to boosting confidence, motivation, and customer trust, DeFi has a huge scope to improve, and it is working day and night to do that. Again, I would say I'd never say that there should be no regulation and things should be left unsystematized. No. The only thing is that if we can put well thought rules, it would actually boost the sector, boost innovation, and obviously boost finances as well. So the next thing that we can do is that actually have crystal clear goals that can actually create path to a new financial future, and not pitch in tall claims because we can fix something. The idea is to have short and achievable goals. For example, if I need to visit a place in Sri Lanka, I would say I would be planning my trip like 2 months before, right? I would be booking my tickets, I would be packing my stuff. If I'm attending a meeting, I would be noting that. I would not do that 2 days before that I will book a ticket and then I land. There are chances that I will not even get my ticket, right? So I need to first write in very clearly, even if it is like I need to pick up a pencil and write these n things on my paper, as clear as that. We need to set that and create regulations. Second, we need to identify decentralized identifiers, get good wallet scores. Like we always have CIBIL score in the traditional financial segment. We can similarly do that for wallets also. But at the same time, we need to ensure that these controls are not a threat to financial inclusion, that we don't exclude people just because they don't have a certain wallet score. No, we need to put in systems which can actually balance out the whole thing and then take the way forward. Now, again, when anything, even if it comes to government or people, anything new is subjected to scorn, ridicule, and people don't trust it. And that is completely fine, because people will always have a different view when it comes to a, I would say, innovative perspective, maybe which is something that has not been observed for years. Now, if we give DeFi enough space to come in and establish itself as we did for the traditional financial segments, it is sure to boost transparency, and it can actually provide credit opportunities and other opportunities to close to 8 billion people. And they will surely see a massive change in their finances, not even if not in an year or two, but maybe 5 years down the lane. That's it. That's all I had to say. And let me know how was it. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you very much, Supriya, for that wonderful talk into DeFi and all the things that are going on. I think maybe you can turn on the camera now.
Yeah, sure. I can turn on the camera.
Yes, sure. So, Supriya, we would also love to know that you've been writing in the field of blockchain. So, what is your particular motivation or passion about DeFi, and why do you think it's going to be a big possibility coming up?
Okay, that's a very good question. My particular motivation about DeFi is, again, that there are no authorities involved, and I would love to experiment with financial instruments and other. So I used to have some investment in cryptocurrency before the cryptocurrency bill came. I just took them all out. But yes, I would love to explore more, and that is one of my particular motivations. And I always have believed in diversifying my investment portfolio. That is one of the biggest motivations for DeFi that I have particularly.
Okay. So if we now that we're discussing DeFi, one thing that we saw was during the Russia and Ukraine war. So we saw how their own financial system failed, and how crypto and other digital assets came to it for a number of things, and there was international donation in crypto. So, what is your comments on that, and how can that help us in the future?
Okay, so when it comes to war-like situations, surely crypto can help a lot. It can help us cut down the processes when it comes to a financial risk. The traditional segment can surely not do. And I would say that if such a situation arises again, crypto will be there to the rescue, because day by day, crypto is rising only. And within, even if I say, like, even if you talk 1 year later, exactly on the same date, you will have a completely different aspect when it comes to crypto. And these situations can completely be avoided, especially the financial losses can be avoided if people decide to plunge some of their investments in crypto.
Right, sure. So, you mentioned this point that maybe for the common man, they feel it's not safe, their investment in crypto or digital assets, and that is indeed a challenge as of this point. So, there is a lack of dispute mechanism. If you have a money in banks, there is an entire, you can dispute it, you can find it, but in the space of crypto, we don't see anything like that yet. So, how do you see that particular aspect evolving, a dispute mechanism system, and how do you see differences being settled in case of crypto and digital assets?
Okay, first of all, when it again comes to investing in crypto, there are assets which are very hugely priced, like Bitcoin and Ethereum. Then you have lower price coins also, Shiba Inu, Ripple, which are not that high priced. The idea is to collaborate with financial institutions and see a framework that can be worked out for both. I'm not asking them to give them commissions, but we can actually help them realize that, okay, if these are your objectives, transparency is your objective, financial inclusion is your objective, then we can actually sit on that rather than saying that, okay, crypto is better or traditional finance is better. Maybe coming to a common ground that serves both the purpose, that can be worked out. It will take some time, but yes, it will surely work out. That's what I feel.
Sure, great. And so, particularly for our nation, India, and what are the opportunities do you see in the space of DeFi for both the common man, for businesses, and for the government?
Okay, for enterprises, that I see that they can go into the lending segment. Small businesses can also start and then build a huge income stream. As for the investors and traders, again, they can make huge profits, similar for the common man. And yes, they can diversify their portfolios and also explore other aspects like development. They can invest in that too. And yes, eventually things will change.
Sure. So, can you also explain to us how DeFi is different in the sense, if a company, if an enterprise is doing lending through the existing banking system versus they're doing lending through DeFi, what is the difference, and how does that work?
Okay, firstly, when it comes to charging interest and fees, the traditional segments have a huge amount of fees that even if it's like 10%, 12%, that firstly differs. DeFi can actually regularize it. We can have a very small percent of fees and still they can make huge profits out of that because cryptocurrencies prices are fluctuating, right? And I also get a margin on that. Like I can easily get funds. I would cut down on the time, and that is one of the most valuable propagations. Firstly, I cut down on time. I cut down on transaction fees. I cut down on other aspects of filling out lengthy forms also. So that is one way crypto is helping out a lot of people. And obviously, I don't need to have a bank statement and other things to get myself verified and get a loan. I can be done with that if I'm sorted by a KYC procedure for once, and not keep submitting my documents to different organizations time and again, and then drag this process endlessly.
Right. So you mentioned the interest rate is less when it's happening through DeFi. So what is enabling that? Why have they been able to have a lower interest rate?
Okay, what I feel is that why can they have, again, first factor is the crypto price fluctuation, and then they obviously want to boost adoption, right? It is made with the user in the mind, and yes, obviously every company wants profits, but yes, it is more focused towards the user adoption that people can actually benefit out of it. Yes, I understand there have been scams, but the motto continues to remain the same. It is about benefit of people. Right. Even the traditional segment started with that, but we know the scenario, what actually happens there.
Right. So you believe because it is community driven, and so yes, it becomes the objectives is not only profit here. So they are able to.
It is community driven that drives the whole arena.
Sure. So as of today, someone who is not very technical or tech savvy, they might find this entire process intimidating or overwhelming. To get into a new, especially to put their hard-earned money into a new asset class, into a new kind of investment. So how can the industry make this process easy for new adopters and get them on board?
Okay, so firstly, I would say that many cryptocurrency firms advertise, promote themselves on social media. They can do it on a bigger level. The courses are being made for that. They can promote them via traditional channels also. When there is sufficient information, it is backed by experts, like they're working on the social profiles, website and other stuff. When people actually see social proof, they can rope in influencers for the same, experts for the same, get testimonials for the same. When people actually see social proof, they will be more than willing to read about it. If I go and read something about it, I'm more likely to, okay, if I see that it has been backed by experts, I will more likely to experiment and then go ahead with that. So maybe that can help in. And yes, just like we have, again, I would say courses, cohorts for traditional financial things, like we have investment courses, we can design the same for cryptocurrencies. Yes, it will take some time for India, but yes, the other countries are still doing this stuff. And yes, there's ample amount of education and awareness. and that is backed. So that is helping sail the tide.
Sure. So, other than just DeFi, this entire blockchain and Web3 coming up, what, what do you see could be the possibility with this, and where do you see this is headed, this new kind of a revolution?
Okay, with Web3 blockchain, I would say firstly the internet will change completely. The financial system will change, the way we work, we talk. It will radically change within a span of 5 years because things will be more transparent. We can maybe even safely say goodbye to frauds in the next 5 years. Be it in the power sector, energy sector, lending sector, even the farms, we will be able to reach a massive amount of people and actually help them out, figure out things, and cut down all the intermediaries. I don't mean to don't mean to say that it will eat up their professions, but yes, it will open up a huge whole new avenue of professions, which might obviously lead them to upscale themselves. But yes, it will be for the better. That people might even see promotions, like people like developers, policy makers, managers. They might see a huge hike in their salaries if they are into blockchain, crypto, and Web3. That is one of the things I feel. Yeah.
Sure, Supriya. It was so. Also, how did you get into this space, and what has been your journey?
My crypto journey. Okay, it has been a quite interesting one. So I am a physics graduate. I used to work for a laboratory. So one day, out of the blue, my team leader suggested that why don't you try writing for crypto? I was not very fond of crypto, and I had not even heard of crypto before. Like, one of my friends had told me about Bitcoin, so I thought, okay, fine, I'll just check that out on a weekend. So I started freelancing for a company called Almora that was in Gurgaon. So I started freelancing, and within 1.5 years, I left my job at the laboratory, and then I switched to full-time crypto writing. So there I explored various facets like news writing, blog writing, website writing, and even white papers. So the saga began there. So I left that job in 2019, and even my interest with crypto ended for 3 to 4 months. But yes, I started writing again, and see how much, even if I had to disconnect with crypto for like 1 week or a week or 3 months, to say, but we still have managed to find each other, we would say. So I would say yes, crypto has become a huge part of my life. I write, I talk to people about it, and even guided new writers for that. So yes, it has become a huge part, and still I'm dealing with 4 to 5 crypto projects. Like I write on them also. I have a team also who writes on that. So yeah, that has been my crypto journey. I do plan to launch a course soon this very year also on crypto. So yeah, that is one of my plans for that.
Okay, that's great to know. So I think you're all in with crypto and blockchain.
No doubt about it.